when I was, most of my topics come when I'm on my walk in the morning.
Yes.
And this thing popped into my head. I was like, yeah, man, maybe we're all overreacting a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, like, Eagles are 8-4. It feels much worse than 8-4. But, like, I think the question comes down to, is this your normal, everyday Super Bowl hangover type season, or is it something worse? Is there something worse going on than your normal Super Bowl hangover? There are some things that seem very Super Bowl hangover-y to me, right? Because it's not strange after you win the Super Bowl or go to the Super Bowl to have a worse year. The question is it something worse than just a Super Bowl hangover? So the stuff that is Super Bowl hangover-y to me, the injury stuff. The offensive line being more injured. They had to play more games last year. They ran the ball a ton. Even Saquon as well. Saquon not being the same guy feels Super Bowl hangover-y to me. Mm-hmm. The schedule being more difficult is Super Bowl hangover-y, right? Even the whole thing where everybody's gunning for you and you're not the underdog, it just creates a different dynamic. So if they had come out and won 10 games or 11 games and maybe won a playoff game or something, that would be a normal Super Bowl hangover. What I can't escape that is making it seem worse to me is that there are things that are more than Super Bowl hangover-y. The controversy stuff is loud. And it's not just us stirring it up. And we do like to stir things up. But, like, there has to be something to stir. Mm-hmm. And from the AJ stuff to the leaks about Jalen to there's just been a lot there. So that feels not so Super Bowl hangover-y to me. The fact that the team is as undisciplined as they are from a penalty perspective, even from a focus perspective, feels like something more than a Super Bowl hangover. And the other thing that I can't get out of my head is that it happened before. Now, maybe they get through this year and we don't have the unraveling of like 23. But the fact that this sort of thing, the win by a little and everybody says their win is good enough, and then all of a sudden everything starts unraveling, the fact that it happened before. So I'm trying to convince myself that maybe I am overreacting, maybe it's just a Super Bowl hangover. There are too many signs for me that say that it is something more than just a Super Bowl hangover.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm there as far as having real issues. I'm not going to sit here and say we should ignore some of these things that have been reported. There's enough smoke there to know that there's something true to it. How significant it is, I don't necessarily know. I think time will tell us that. I'll land safely in the Super Bowl hangover category. And here's why. It's not easy to repeat from the standpoint of having, not even just winning it ultimately, just having the same success and making it to that game the following year. History shows that.
Yes.
It doesn't mean it's impossible. I'm just saying it's not easy to do. And teams will usually take a step back the following year, whether they won the game or they lost the game. The fact that the Eagles actually won the game, here's where I think the hangover sort of makes itself prevalent. There's a sense of complacency that has set in, and the priorities for everyone isn't the same as it was coming off the year before. Coming off the 2023 season, there's a lot more to prove. Everybody is sort of under fire, right? The head coach,
more than sort of.
Well, there were people that wanted the head coach fired after the 2023 season.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you bring in another offensive coordinator without letting Nick Sirianni have his own guy in there. You bring in a new defensive coordinator after getting rid of the two defensive coordinators you had the year before. And not only that, the players, from the way that they performed coming down the stretch in 2023, put a lot of pressure on all those guys to perform better the following year. And the most significant part, no one was more motivated than Saquon Barkley. No one was more motivated to prove to everyone that he is him. More importantly, prove to the team that decided they didn't want to pay him that he was him than Saquon Barkley last year. And I'm not going to sit here and say to every man isn't necessarily as motivated this year as they were last year. But I'll say this. There's a more likelihood that complacency has set in where you're satisfied from a championship standpoint. You've quenched that thirst. Now there's other things that may be more important to you. Whether that's your brand, maybe where it's your own numbers, your legacy, all these different things. You're trying to get paid, right? Guys want to get paid, and they may be doing their own thing. All these things set in, and now we aren't all pulling in the same direction. And that's where the Super Bowl hangover comes in for me.
215-592-9494. Is this year just a Super Bowl hangover, or is there something more? And I think here is the thing looking forward that I think you have to ask yourself. So the reason I would think you would call it a Super Bowl hangover is because it happened the next day, but then 2 days after, you feel fine, right? You have the hangover, you drink one night, you have the hangover the next day, and then everything goes back to normal on the third day. The question is this a Super Bowl hangover? Is this just going to wear off after this year? And are they going to wake up, after they had a good night of sleep and, rested all day on the couch, and then next year when they come back to it, is that all there? And the thing that would worry me is, do you really need to get your ass kicked like this to be good? Like, we've been talking about, dynasty and multiple Super Bowls and that sort of thing.
Not necessarily to be good, but to realize you aren't as good as you think you are.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Now, that may be another way of saying it.
Yep.
But, sometimes you may need to get your butt kicked. Mike Tyson was doing things a certain way for so many years when he was knocking people out until he got his ass knocked out.
Yeah.
And then you got to reevaluate things. And that may be what the Eagles need right now, to be knocked on their butts.
As players.
And then you come back to next year motivated. Because in this city, we're not going to let you rest.
No.
So you know how we're going to be. We're going to keep the intensity there. And this is where I give us credit, because we're never going to, most of us are never going to accept mediocrity and not giving your best and meeting expectations. So we're going to always keep the heat on you. Media, fans, all of that, yes. That's what it's like playing in Philadelphia. I'm sorry. This ain't Florida where you win and everybody's happy for the next 5, 6, 7 years, regardless of what you do.
Nah, we'll boo you the first game back if you win the Super Bowl.
It's the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. 215.
It's the truth.
215-592-9494. Is this your simply a Super Bowl hangover? Is it simply a Super Bowl hangover, or is it something more?